Hello and welcome back. Today is a fun one. We're doing the 2022 Korean/Japanese sunscreen roundup. So I did one of these last year. I thought it was rather successful. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I wanted to come back because, spoiler alert, I bought more. Actually, I've had all of these for quite some time, and some of them you can't see, but like I only have that much left, so that's fun. But hi, I'm Dana. Welcome to my channel. Here we do SMS Beauty, which is skincare, makeup, sunscreen. So if you are into any of those things, please stick around. We have a lot of fun here, cover a lot of topics. And today we're just gonna jump right in because we have a lot to cover. We're gonna sit down and apply these to my, I was gonna say my beautiful face, I don't know why. And I'm gonna talk you through them. I've got a lot of winners here. I actually pared it down. Last year I did like 16. It was too many, to be honest, TBH. So this year I have 8. And I think that's just a more manageable number, but I've also found that I kind of was able to find like the cream of the crop ones. So I think that these are gonna be good. I hope you guys enjoy it. Well, let's get going. Okay, the first one, I have been getting so many people asking about this, so I figured I'd start the video with this one. This is the Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun Rice and Probiotics SPF 50 plus PA plus 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 plus. 4 pluses. This retails for only $13.81, which is pretty incredible, especially because you get 50 milliliters or 1.7 fluid ounces. It's a pretty standard amount, and it's just like one of the most accessible prices, I would say, out there. This is a Korean brand, Beauty of Joseon. I've covered some of their other products, and to be honest, this is my favorite of theirs so far. It's lightweight, fast absorbing. It kind of feels watery, but moisturizing, but not too heavy. So very good. Most of these are really good in the summertime, I would say. But we're gonna put it on and then I'll talk you through the filters in it as well. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna be doing half and half just to kind of like cut down on the number of times I have to wash my face. So this one has rice bran, and that is supposed to have like a calming effect to your skin. It's also supposed to help attract water to the upper levels of your skin. So this is, I would say, one of those sunscreens that it's not gonna feel heavy, but it's also gonna be mid-level moisturizing. If you want super moisturizing, this is not the one. Most of these are not, but I have a few in there that are gonna be better for drier skin. But this one is just a nice sunscreen for all around use. I would say it's really beautiful under makeup. It doesn't pill. I don't get any kind of like weird streaking or anything like that. So as far as filters in it, we have Uvinol A+, which is a UVA filter. Uvisorb HEB, which is UVB and UVA2 rays, Tinosorb M, which is both a UVA and UVB filter, and Uvinol T, which is UVB filter. Those are all newer filters, not available in the US. So while you can order it online, you can't necessarily find a US sunscreen that uses these filters, which is why it tends to be so elegant and beautiful. All right, so that is a pretty easy application, as you can see. I don't find that I get any eye sting from this, and I'm gonna say this once because otherwise I would say it during every single application. Just because I don't have any eye sting doesn't mean that you won't. A lot of the Korean and Japanese brands use newer UVA and UVB filters, and that typically means that you get less eye sting. Some of the older filters in America are just not as elegant, and those are the ones that cause eye sting. But it's kind of hard to say, like if it gives me eye sting, it might not give you, and vice versa. So I have not found any of these to really give me any eye sting, but I just wanted to kind of present that caveat. Also, this one has no white cast, and pretty much none of these have a white cast, but they are all chemical sunscreens, so usually you get a cast in something that's a mineral sunscreen. So this one does have a light scent to it. I don't find it to be overwhelming at all because I've had many that can be quite overwhelming. It feels a little spa-like, but nothing too bad, and it's not like I can't even smell it a minute or two after I put it on. Overall, I would say for the finish of this, it gives you a little bit natural / glowy, and it kind of depends on what you use underneath it. So if you go in with heavy moisturizers underneath it, you're gonna get more of a glowy look. If you just use this and kind of use it as your moisturizer, you're gonna get kind of what you see here, which under the lights is a little stronger, but it really dries down to be quite natural. So it's one of those things you just don't have to think about. You can throw on and be out the door. And this would probably be one of my very favorites of the bunch, just because I find that I can use it year round in any type of weather. It goes underneath makeup or whatnot so easily, and it's just very easy to use and incredibly cheap. So love this one. Okay, next up we have the Isntree Hyaluronic Acid Watery Sun Gel. This is the one I was talking about. This one has that much left because I used it a lot. So this retails for $18.56. It's a little bit more expensive, but not incredibly. And this one has a very watery consistency. So this is another one that is 50 milliliters. Pretty much most sunscreens are 50 milliliters or 1.7 fluid ounces. This is another Korean brand, and it is SPF 50 plus PA plus. So 4 again. Now this one has ceramides in it, and it says 8 different kinds of hyaluronic acid, which if you don't know about hyaluronic acid, it basically binds water to it, helping with your hydration and moisture levels on your skin. And the majority of this product is actually made up of water, which is very key to having hyaluronic acid actually work. If you just had hyaluronic acid, it would actually draw the moisture out from your skin. So you do need something like water in the formula or in your moisturizer to really get the benefits of it. This one, I have never had any stinging. Obviously there's no white cast, and this one is not scented as far as I can tell. If you can tell, this is the beauty of Joseon. I put that on a few minutes ago. It's already pretty much dried in and there's not really much of a glow. This one is quite glowy, but I wouldn't say that it's going to feel heavy or look glowy the rest of the day, but it is, because of the water and the hyaluronic acid, it's going to give you a more like plumping kind of dewy look. And in terms of filters in this, we have quite a few, so hold on. Tinosorb S, which is a UVA and UVB filter, Uvinol A+, which is a UVA filter, Tinosorb M, another all-purpose broad-spectrum UVA and B filter, Homosalate, which is an older filter, that's a UVB one, Polysilicone 15, that's a UVB, and then Octasalate, which is an older UVA. So you kind of have a nice blend of older and newer filters, but you have a lot of them. So you're getting very good protection from this. And I would say that this one actually has like a very natural / glowy finish, but like I said before, it's not going to look like this all day. If you give it a few minutes, it's gonna soak in. Both of these I would say are very good for oily skin or more like normal skin. If you have drier skin, you might wanna wait. I have a few that are gonna kind of like tick that box a little bit better. Overall, this is such an easy one, and as you can see, like I have used so much of it. It's probably gonna be empty in a few weeks, but because I have so many, it might take me longer. Again, I love both of these. I would say that these are the ones that I reach for probably the most out of all of these, just because I find that they are just easy and multi-purpose. You can use them in any weather, any time of the year, under makeup, all that kind of stuff. And they're just a joy to put on. So these are two of my very, very favorites. Next up, another favorite. Can you see? It's very hard to see, but again, only have that much left. I actually had to like finally make this video because I was realizing that I was running out of the products because I've been using them so much. Anyway, this is the Missha Aqua Sun Gel SPF 50 plus PA+++, all 4 pluses. This is a little bit harder to find at the moment. Not to say that Missha, the brand is, but this exact one, and I had a different Missha one last year, so you can go check that video out if you're interested. But this one, it seems like they are reformulating it, so if you want to pick it up, it's available on Amazon, but it is a bit pricier than I think it normally is. It's 50 milliliters, 1.7 fluid ounces, and it's also a Korean brand. I think out of this bunch, I think I have 1 or 2 Japanese brands, but I will tell you if they are Japanese or Korean. This one, Missha in general, their sunscreens do have kind of like a powdery, like florally, I don't know why I say powdery, but that's what it is, scent to it. And this one is no different, but they just are such a delight to put on, as you can see. The only thing I have found with the Missha ones is if you don't rub it in quickly, you can sometimes feel like you see little bits of a white cast. I don't think it's bad at all, but like don't sit there with it on your face and not rub it in. That's the kind of thing. This one absorbs so quickly. It is watery, not so much watery as this one and one of the others I have, but it's a very fluid kind of sunscreen. It doesn't feel heavy on your face, doesn't look heavy at all. And it's just a delight. That's again why I have so little of it left. I love Missha sunscreens in general. And the last one I had, I can't say I love that one more or less. Like I feel like they're pretty equal. So definitely if you're interested in them, just kind of get the one that is either available to you or you've seen good reviews on. But I recommend both the ones that I've tried. The thing about Missha that I do like, as opposed to some of the other Korean sunscreens, is you definitely get more of a natural, like matte-ish finish. A lot of the other ones can be a little bit more glowy, not to the extent of like very, very glowy, but this one would be great for people with oily skin, because as you can see, even on this side where I have nothing, it kind of looks the same, and the only reason it looks a little glowy is because of the artificial lighting I have. In terms of filters, we have a good combination of new and old ones. We have Tinosorb S, which is a broad spectrum UVA and UVB filter. Avobenzone, you've probably heard of. That's an old school broad spectrum A and B filter. I'm not sure how to pronounce this one because it's newer to me. Amiloxate, we're gonna go with that. That's a UVB and UVA2 filter. So not 100% broad spectrum, but in combination with all the other filters, very good. Octocrylene, you probably heard of. That's a UVB filter. Homosalate, another old school one, UVA, and then octosalate, UVA as well. So like I said, this one, Missha tends to have kind of a combination of older and newer filters, which is perfectly fine. I think that's maybe part of the reason why sometimes you feel like if you don't rub it in, you have a little of a cast. But again, it's really just use your error. If you're getting a white cast, you shouldn't have one. And as I said, this one does have a little bit of a scent to it, so if that is something you do not like, I would steer away from it. It's not terrible though, and doesn't last on your face all day. They're just all around good sunscreen, and I love it, obviously. Next up, we have the Banobagi Milk Thistle Repair Sunscreen. This is another sunscreen that I talked about in last year's video, which I will link above. This was one of my absolute favorites, and they reformulated it because it kind of had some of the, I think it was one of the sunscreens that was affected by the filters and not really having the protection that it promised. So they reformulated it. The old one was SPF 50. This one is SPF 45 with 3 PAs. Pluses. So it's clearly gone down in protection, which is not bad. SPF 45 is still really good. But it just feels different, and I've tried it quite a bit. I've already used over half of it, and I don't find it to be the same, but it's still a very good one. So let's apply it. In terms of filters, we have a lot of newer and just one older one. We have Juvenile MC80, which is a UVB filter, Tinosorb S, which is a broad spectrum A and B filter, Heliopan? Never heard of that one, but it's a UVB filter. Then Juvenile A+, which is a very common, very good UVA filter, and then Octosalate, which is an older UVB filter. So this one is another lightweight one. I would say it's a little bit more hydrating than the first 3. If you do tend to have a little bit drier skin, this would be a better option if you're going for just those 4 that I've already reviewed. I wouldn't say it is the most hydrating though. I forgot to tell you, it retails for about $20-ish, 50 milliliters. It's Korean again, and it is, I would say, one of the better ones for a little bit longer lasting hydration. Not to say that you could use this in place of a moisturizer, but if you do kind of tend to have maybe like combo skin or a little bit drier skin, this might be really good underneath a moisturizer. It's going to give you a little bit more of a radiant glow. It's not going to give you the glowiest skin all day long, but as you can see, the difference between the Missha, which is really like a dry, almost like matte finish, this one is gonna have a little bit more glow. It's beautiful under makeup. You can wear it alone though, it's not too overpowering. Would I recommend this one over the others that I've gone over? I would say no. In terms of giving you like a little bit more of a glowy, hydrated look, these 2 are still my favorite, the House of Joseon and the Isntree. If you want a matte finish, this is the Missha one, is absolutely that one. This one is just a little too pricey for not really doing enough. Just because when you have something like the House of Joseon, which is $13, pretty much doing the same thing, higher filters, stronger protection, I just don't think the price tag is worth it for this. But it's still a beautiful sunscreen. I just think with the little scandal that they had, it's not as good as the old one. All right, next up we have the Purito Daily Go-To Sunscreen. I have a full video on this that I will link above. I reviewed this a while back. I was very, very excited for Purito because they were kind of like at the heart of the scandal back in 2000, 2020, 21, I forget when. Time doesn't exist anymore. They had their Centella Green Level, whatever it was called, that everyone just loved and adored. And it kind of came out that the protection that was listed on it was not what it actually was. I think it was like an SPF 19 when it said SPF 50. So they took that off the market, and then they came back with this new one. I think they're supposed to be coming out with a few more, but I haven't really, maybe I should go check. This one, I had a lot of hopes. I had some hopes and dreams for it. And it ended up not being exactly what I wanted, and I don't think a lot of people loved it as much as the old one. This is a hybrid sunscreen, so out of all of these, it's the only one that has, well, there's one more that has a mineral filter, but this one more so than the others, and it's gonna be more likely to give you a white cast, especially if you have a deeper skin tone. As far as filters in it, we have titanium dioxide, which is your mineral filter. That is the one that's gonna have a little bit more of a cast if they put too much or it's not formulated. Uvinol T150, Tinosorb S, and Uvinol A+. So those are kind of the common Korean / Japanese / just not US filters, but it is 3 chemical filters and 1 mineral filter, which is what gives you the hybrid status. Okay, so this one does come in 60 milliliters, which is about 2 fluid ounces, so you get a little bit more than some of the others, and it's about $16.80 to like $18.50 on different websites. I will list them below, but you can get it on Amazon, so that's a great part of that. Otherwise, you can get it on Stylevana and Yes Style. This one has no scent to it, which is great, and I've never found it to have any like eye irritation, but again, just because I haven't doesn't mean you won't. In it, we have Centella Asiatica, which is kind of the main ingredient. It's an extract. It's just wonderful. It's good for helping to reduce redness, calm your skin. Actually helps with moisturization as well. I'm not sure if you can see. Well, of course you can, but there is a difference. This side has nothing on it. I just washed my face. It's clean. This side, I just put 1 finger length. So my main problem with this sunscreen is that it is very, very dewy. And I guess that's not a problem if that's something you want, but I don't find that it ever really fully absorbs. It kind of sits on top of your skin. It is lightweight, so it's not like it feels heavy, but you just kind of, if you don't put anything over it, you're going to feel kind of a tacky, sticky, not super sticky, but it's just gonna be there. So like if your hair gets in it, it's gonna kind of stick to your hair. I would say this is definitely not a summer sunscreen for most people. This is much better for winter, and this is, out of all of the ones that I have, I would say that this is probably the best for people with drier skin. If you have oily skin, even in the winter, this might be too much, because as it looks right now, it's going to look all day unless you put makeup or sun powder or something over it. It's going to look glowy. And I don't find that it's the pretty glowy. It kind of looks like you're just like sweaty and gross. So sadly, if you watched the other video, you know my thoughts on it. It's just not my favorite, and I appreciate that they did reformulate, and I'm pretty sure that this SPF 50, and it is PA+++, sorry. It is a high protection, but I think they kind of lost the elegance of the old formula because it just wasn't actually giving you the protection. And this one gives you the protection, but at the expense of like a really elegant, beautiful formula. So, not the worst, but not my favorite, and I never reach for it, ever. The next one we have is, I don't know how you say this, Kose? I'm gonna say Kose because it's got a little accent on the E. This is the Sun Cut Cool Water Splash UV Protect Gel. $17.89, and it actually has 200 milliliters, so you get you get the most out of any of the ones that I've reviewed for a very affordable price. This one is SPF 50 plus PA++++, 4 pluses. And this one is watery, like the name suggests. Be careful when you're squeezing it out because it can be a little runny, but not in a bad way. In terms of filters, we have actinoxate, which is UVB protection, that's an older one. Tinosorb S, which is a broad spectrum, UVA and UVB. Polysilicone 15, which is again a newer one, which is a UVB protector. Titanium dioxide, so this actually does make it a hybrid, but it is, I think it must be in such a small percentage or just formulated really beautifully that you really don't see any white cast whatsoever. And that is for UVB and UVA2 filters. And then the last one, which is Uvinol A+, which is a UVA filter. So this one is definitely, I would say, probably the most watery kind of fluid consistency out of the ones that I'm reviewing. Although a few of the others, like the Isntree, is pretty close to it in terms of consistency. It has some of the alcohol scent to it that you kind of associate with a very watery gel moisturizer. Why can't I talk? Sunscreen. So if that is something that you do not like, you just know like that either the alcohol irritates your skin or you just don't like the smell of it, whatever. It's not gonna dry your skin out necessarily, but it's definitely there and it's just something to be aware of. I don't know why I'm putting more on. I guess because the fact of the matter is this is one of the faster absorbing ones. It's very lightweight. It doesn't feel like anything on the skin. If you are wanting something that is just like you don't have to think about, it's definitely gonna be one of the Korean brands. I think they just make these elegant formulas that are easy to put on, high protection. This is SPF 50 plus, and really, really beautiful. But one thing I do wanna say that I don't think I've said before, in this video at least, most of these sunscreens are really meant to be indoor sunscreens, which means you can still go outside, but if you're gonna be outside like working or swimming or whatever, these are not meant for that. That's just not their purpose, and I think Americans don't necessarily understand that, whereas in Korea, they have very clear like indoor versus outdoor ones, and I'm gonna get to an outdoor one in a second, but all of the ones that I've covered already would be considered indoor. So you can wear it, you can reapply it if you need to, but don't go spend 2 hours out in the sun with it. It's just not gonna be enough protection in my opinion, and most of them aren't waterproof, so it's also not something you want when you're like out sweating and doing all that kind of stuff. So this one, the other really important thing to note is it kind of has a cooling effect. So it's not terrible and it's not always noticeable. Like today I don't feel it, but in the past when I put it all over my face, I'm like, ooh. So it's interesting, and I don't find that many other sunscreens have that. And it does say that it's like a water splash, like a cool water splash. So that's what you get. So we do have the two hybrid ones right here. And if you're gonna go for either of them, wanting like a hybrid protection sunscreen, I would say this one is gonna be the better one if you don't wanna cast. This one for moisturizing if you have drier skin. This one is gonna give you a really natural finish. It's not gonna be too glowy. It sinks in pretty much immediately. It's a beautiful sunscreen. I forgot to say, the Kose, this is Japanese. We've made it to the end. I always get excited because these videos take me a long time to A, film, and B, more importantly, research. So by the time I get to the end, I'm always ready. One of my very favorite sunscreens I saved for last, but mainly because it is a waterproof sunscreen. So let's get into it. This is the CNP Outdoor Fluid Sun. Why don't I have the price? I guess I couldn't find the price. It's probably like mid-range. I think it's in the $27 range. The only thing about this is it is a bit hard to find. I think I found it on Stylevana, and I do believe now I'm remembering $27. It is 80 milliliters, so you're getting a little bit more than the normal 50 milliliters amount. This one is Korean, and it is waterproof. So what I was just talking about before, that a lot of these Korean and Japanese sunscreens are not really made for outdoor use or like active use. This one is. It's actually waterproof, which is one of the biggest parts of being kind of an outdoor sunscreen, but it's also kind of made with a little bit, the filters are just intended to be stronger and hold up to more kind of like, are meant to hold up in stronger UV light. Now, this one does have more of a scent than anything else I've tried today. And it actually has like a citrusy scent, and it has some essential oils in it. So if you do have kind of sensitivity to scented sunscreens or scented products, unfortunately this might be a little too much for you. Like, I think it smells beautiful and I don't have any irritation from it, but it definitely has those essential oils, and those are the ones that kind of can cause some irritation on some people's skin. There's not gonna be any cast in this one, but it does take a little bit more rubbing than some of the others, and that's okay with me because I do know like when I'm using this, I'm gonna be outside for a while, and I do wanna make sure that I'm putting enough on, so I do have to make sure I rub it in a little bit. I have not had any icing from this one, so that's a nice part of it, and I don't really feel like I have a cast. If you are gonna get a cast anywhere, it might be around the edges of your hair or in your eyebrows, but you can blend it out really easily. Okay, in terms of filters, we have octisalate, which is a UVA filter, Uvinol A+, which is another UVA filter, octinoxate, which is a UVB filter, zinc oxide, which is broad spectrum UVA and B, and then Tinosorb S, which is also a broad spectrum. So you have a little bit of the older filters in this, but then some Uvinol A plus and Tinosorb S, which are newer filters. This one is truly meant for outdoor use. I would say if you're going to be outside, this is the one out of all of these to choose. I don't necessarily use this if I'm going to the beach or something. I still prefer usually like a European or American sunscreen for really active long days. But if I'm gonna be working out outside for a few hours, that kind of thing, I can go for this for sure. And I do love the fact that it is waterproof, like it's not coming off. And it doesn't have too much of a kind of different finish. You do get a little bit more of a radiant look as opposed to this side, which has nothing on it, but it's not gonna be so glowy throughout the day, and it's not gonna feel like it hasn't absorbed, which is one of the things that I love about it. Out of all of these, obviously the first two I love, but this one is unique in the fact that it really is kind of a more active one, and it really reminds me of the Shiseido, I never remember the name, but it's basically in the same bottle or similar bottle. They kind of operate in a very similar way. So I do love both of those, and both of them are great for outdoor like sports and whatnot. And the last one I have is the AHC Masters Aqua Rich Sun Cream. This one I had a very hard time finding, and I actually bought both of these, well, as a set from Amazon. And when it came, I was like, oh, this is a travel size. This is the stick version, and I'm pretty sure that this is kind of what it was intended to be. And then they kind of like, this is an add-on because I haven't seen the full size of just the sun cream. I'm not gonna use it today, but it's beautiful. It just goes on like a dream. And I'm pretty sure that these are the same formula, so it's not really that different, but this is in a stick format and this is in a cream. This one though is quite pricey. It retails for $33 online when I got it from Amazon as the set. It is SPF 50, PA++++, and this is the Korean brand as well. And this is actually in collaboration with Pak Seri. She, I believe, is a golfer, and the whole point of it is that like she's out in the sun all the time. She needs really good outdoor protection. So another one similar to this, that's why I did them at the same time. I'm gonna put on the stick format. I think it is really very easy to put on. Well, I don't think, I know. And I do really enjoy this. I just don't really tend to go for sticks for whatever reason. I find that I just kind of like question, did I put it on everywhere? And it's more about like user error than anything. But that said, this stuff is the easiest thing in the world. So this would be a really good option, exactly like why they made it. She's out golfing all day, like she can just swipe it on. It doesn't leave a residue. It soaks in pretty quickly. I feel like you can just apply this on the go. Again, exactly why they made it. And it's just a really, really great sunscreen, and you do get a lot. So you get 14 grams, which is half an ounce, but because it's in a stick formula, I really do think that you go through it a lot less quickly. Why can't I talk? Than some of the others. I'm just like throwing it on, multiple layers. I've worn this under makeup. It does a beautiful job. There's no cast. There is a slight scent, but I can't put my finger on it, and it's not overwhelming or overpowering at all. In terms of filters, we have Uvinol A+, which is your UVA filter, Uvinol T150, that's a UVB filter, Tinosorb M, broad spectrum A and B, and then Uvisorb HEB, which is another UVB and UVA2. As you can see, this one has a very, very natural finish. I wouldn't say it's matte to the touch, but it looks a little bit more matte than say this one. It's just so easy. I don't know if I would recommend it just because of the price, and I feel like it's just a little hard to find, and maybe like it was a limited edition thing, but out of all the sticks that I have, which is not that many, maybe like a handful, this is my favorite for sure. All right guys, that's it. We went through them all. My face is actually doing okay. This round, I would say I did but I feel like these are all really, really solid options. You can't really go wrong. And a few of them do kind of lean toward one direction, like matte or more dewy. But for the most part, I think they can work for almost anyone. And you're really not gonna have much of a cast, except for this one. This one, you can't see. This is the Purito one. That's the only one that I would say you might have to worry about a little bit of a cast. So any of the others are gonna be great options. I truly, truly love them all. Of course, like I said, the first few are kind of my favorites, but I think they would all be really good options just depending on what you're looking for. So I hope that helped, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.